Harun Yahya has created a whole industry around claims of scientific miracles in the Qur'an, producing glossy and expensive books, videos and websites. The Quranic miracle of the honeybee is one of his popular claims. It's based on verse 68 and 69 of Surah Al-Nahl. وَأَوْحَى رَبُّكَ إِلَى النَّحْلِ أَنِ اتَّخِذِي مِنَ الْجِبَالِ بُيُوتًا وَمِنَ الشَّجَرِ وَمِمَّا يَعْرِشُونَ ثُمَّ كُلِي مِنْ كُلِّ الثَّمَرَاتِ فَاسْلُكِي سُبُلَ رَبِّكَ ذُلَلًا يَخْرُجُ مِنْ بُطُونِهَا شَرَابٌ مُخْتَلِفٌ أَلْوَانُهُ فِيهِ شِفَاءٌ لِلنَّاسِ إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَةً لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. And your Lord inspired the bees to take their dwellings in the mountains, trees, and that which people build. Then to eat from all fruits, and follow the ways of your Lord, made smooth. There comes forth from their bellies a drink of different colours, in which is healing for mankind. Indeed, in that is a sign for people who reflect. Harun Yahya claims that by looking at whether a verb is masculine or feminine, it is possible to determine whether the subject is a male or a female. And because the verbs used in this verse are feminine, then that means the Qur'an is telling us that honeybees are females, and no one at the time could have known this. This proves that the Qur'an is the word of Allah. As with many of these miracle claims, there is a big question mark over the assertion that no one could have known this at the time, even if the verses do refer to female bees. However, I will concentrate in this video on whether there is any proof that these verses actually do refer to female bees. The first problem is that the verse says, اتَّخِذِي مِنَ الْجِبَالِ بُيُوتًا وَمِنَ الشَّجَرِ وَمِمَّا يَعْرِشُونَ, which literally means take the mountains and trees and what people build as dwellings. The problem is that male bees also take these places as dwellings, which immediately invalidates the claim. So to make this miracle work, they must interpret take these places as dwellings as meaning only build your nests, since females do the building. Now, I'm not saying the words can't also imply building, but there is absolutely no justification to exclude the meaning of living in them as well, as the following examples from Tafseers show. Those who make this miracle claim need to ask themselves this question. If it was indeed Allah's intention to only refer to the building of nests, then why didn't he say build instead of take? Why be general when he wanted to be specific? Why be vague when he wanted to be exact? You see, the problem about making very precise scientific claims based on language is that one has to produce very precise language to support it. Secondly, there is an even more serious problem with this miracle claim. Using female verbs simply doesn't mean the bees must be female. No one who knows Arabic would make such a ludicrous assertion. There are two grammatical genders in Arabic, masculine and feminine. However, grammatical gender doesn't always coincide with the real-life gender of the subject. This is especially true in the case of plurals, which refer to animals, insects, plants, and inanimate objects. These are normally grammatically feminine, regardless of what they refer to in real life. Nahl means bees in general, male and female. No one disputes that. The only way it could remotely be argued that this verse is speaking to female bees only would be if the word nahl is exclusively masculine, and so the use of feminine verbs would be unusual. So is nahl exclusively masculine? No. Nahl is a type of plural called ism al-jins al-Jum'i, which means a collective or mass noun of species. It denotes the whole species, genus or group, male and female. It can be treated as grammatically masculine or feminine without it having anything to do with the actual gender of what is being referred to. In fact, more often than not, the Qur'an treats collective nouns as feminine, so it would be unusual if it was not in the feminine. no other examples of Nahl in the Qur'an, but there are plenty of examples of other collective nouns in the feminine. So let's look at a few examples. Birds, طير. Have they not seen how the birds are held poised in mid-air? Nothing holds them up but Allah. Indeed, in this are signs for those who believe. By Harun Yahya's logic, Allah only holds female birds up in the sky. Rum, the Romans or the Byzantines. The Romans have been defeated. Only the women of Rome have been defeated, apparently. Qawmun, people. If they deny you, even so, before them the people of Noah, Ad, and Thamud denied their messengers. Apparently, it was only the women who rejected Noah, Ad, and Thamud. Ibil, camels. Have they not seen how camels are created? And here Allah astonishingly tells us that He only creates female camels. I hope it's clear now that treating collective nouns as grammatically feminine has absolutely nothing to do with actual gender. Plus, given the fact that the Qur'an more often than not treats collective nouns as feminine, and given that in Muhammad's own dialect Al-Nahl was feminine, the only thing that would be unusual would be if the feminine verbs were not used. This passage about the bees, with its preceding verses, follows the very familiar style of the Qur'an, which is to cite phenomena familiar to its audience, as a means to encourage them to reflect on the majesty of Allah. They speak to a people living in a harsh desert environment. The verses talk about rain, dates, cattle, drinks, milk, and honey, all important to life in Arabia. It's saying, look at these wonderful things that you depend on to survive. It is Allah who gives them to you. Think about how great He is. Be grateful to Him and worship Him. Nothing more than that. No hidden scientific miracle, no coded message to some future eagle-eyed Muslim with a primary school science book in one hand and the Qur'an in the other. Harun Yahya has whole teams of researchers scanning every word and verse of the Qur'an, searching for anything that could remotely coincide with modern science. It is, however, a dishonest process, rather than an objective scientific process that would allow contradictory evidence to falsify a theory. Their starting point is unshakable faith, and so they are only actively looking for evidence to support this. And if one looks hard enough, one can make any ancient text say something amazing, especially if it is full of ambiguity, vagueness, and archaic language. But for every supposed scientific nugget they mine from the Qur'an, there are many problematic and contradictory verses which they ignore or contrive excuses for. An example comes from this very group of verses that this miracle has been plucked from. The verse about cattle giving us milk to drink uses the masculine pronoun. In fact, Harun Yahya would have a much stronger case to claim this as a miracle, since the word for cattle is not even a collective noun like Nahl, which can take the masculine. The word used for cattle is an'am, which is what is called a broken plural. Broken plurals that do not refer to rational beings should take a feminine pronoun. So I hope Harun Yahya will allow me to contribute another miracle for his glossy books, the scientific miracle that milk actually comes from bulls and not cows. And this really is a true scientific miracle discovered by the Qur'an, because modern science has yet to discover it.
من وردة لوردة تطير تجني العبير بين الحقول تلعب مع صديقها نحو